everyone, this is Ryan Rizomyono from Topidev. I'm your host for SEO 911, and today we have a special guest. I'm so thrilled to have Greg into this podcast. This podcast is sponsored by SEOcon Forum in Bali, December 4th to December 6th. If you haven't got the ticket, this is your chance to get the special ticket. You can go to the link below or on the description. And today, for the second episode of SEO 911, we have a special, very special guest, a good friend of mine. He's a Chief Operating Officer at SearchLab, a globally renowned speaker and expert in local SEO with over 19 years experience. Wow, 19 years. It's been wow. It's so wild. His dynamic movie team presentation are filled with actionable tactics that have helped hundreds of businesses to boost their visibility in local search. Okay. He's also the professor at SEMrush, a columnist at Search Engine Land, and also a contributor at various platforms. He's one of the best speakers that I ever met. Please help me welcome Mr. Greg Gifford. Now with us, I'm so excited to having the next guest. It's Greg Gifford. Welcome, Greg.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, happy to be here and excited to come back to Bali.
Yes, I'm excited for this interview though, because I want to learn more about you. The last time you went to Bali, it's mind blowing. I learned a lot, and a lot of the audience is learned a lot. And then since then, you've been traveling to this part of the world. You've been to Australia.
Yeah, this spring I came down and did a conference, and we were like, "Oh, we're coming down to Australia. Should we go spend a couple of days in Bali again?" But we couldn't make it work. So
yes, Australia is so near. But I'm so excited that to having you back to our SEOcon forum in Bali. So maybe our viewers don't know about you. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Sure. So I am the Chief Operating Officer for SearchLab Digital. We're a boutique digital marketing agency. We specialize in local SEO, and we also do PPC. And I'm lucky enough to be a pretty popular presenter at conferences all over the world. So I get to travel around to a lot of amazing places like Bali and share my knowledge about SEO. And, I'm goofy, so it's fun on stage, and I tell jokes, and it's a good time for everybody.
I love the presentation. I cannot go to Brighton SEO, but I watch the live. Your session
Yeah.
is so fun. That's really good.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So you've been in the business for how long? In the SEO?
Too long. Probably 20 years at this point.
Well, in my point of view, we are not there in 20 years. Like, even Google is not there. How can you be that long into the SEO world?
Well, I honestly, I started off, you remember Flash websites with the weird animation and stuff at the beginning?
Yes.
I started off as a Flash designer 20-something years ago, and we figured out pretty quickly that Google was not able to see the content that was inside of these Flash websites because it was literally like 5 lines of code on a page that just launched the Flash player and all the content was in Flash. So we started to try to figure out how we could get Google to see this content and did a lot of very evil things that, knowing now what I didn't know then, we were totally cheating and doing things you weren't supposed to do, but it worked. And that's when I first kind of started to understand, hey, it's not just about having a website. It's about making sure that Google can see all the pages of your website and understand what the site is about, so you show up in search results. And I kind of fell in love with SEO at that point, and I kind of left that. That was my own little company with a partner, and I kind of left that. Wow. With the COVID gap, it's so hard to think how long ago something was because it's always like 2 or 3 years longer than what you think it was. So I've been at this company almost 5 years now. I was there 4 years, so 9, 8. So about 17, 18 years ago, I left that company and went and really kind of started doing SEO specifically at other agencies.
Okay, so you're the veteran of the SEO world then, definitely.
I mean, I mean, there's the reason there's a lot of white in this beard,
So nowadays you're talking a lot about local SEO, right?
I am, yeah. I am in more of an operations role now because I run the agency. And so I'm much more into like processes and efficiency and, doing the books and paying attention to profitability. But I built my career talking about local SEO and being a local SEO expert. And so that's still what I typically talk about when I'm at conferences because most people would rather come to a conference and learn how to be better at SEO. There's a very small percentage of people that want to learn how to do crazy, weird stuff in Excel for operational purposes. So I typically still talk about local SEO stuff. And Google has made so many updates in the last few years to that local algorithm. There's still a lot of exciting stuff to talk about that can really help businesses and help marketers help their clients.
Yeah. I saw the local SEO is one thing that underrated. Like, not so many businesses are optimizing for their local SEO, but I believe the local SEO is one of the big opportunity that we can have for our business to be found
Oh, for
locally,
sure.
and it's without website, right? You don't need to have a website at the beginning for doing the local SEO. You just need to be found.
I mean, potentially you can show up in search results if you don't have a website, but depends on how much competition there is. So, if you're a business and you don't have a website, like a lot of times we'll see restaurants that just don't have websites. As long as there's not a lot of competition doing the same thing that you're doing that does have a website, then you can probably get away with not having a website. But nowadays, so many people, I mean, it's very rare to find a business that doesn't have a website. So many people have websites. There's Wix, there's WordPress, there's all these simple solutions to get a website. So you kind of have to have the website in today's world if you really want to compete. It's getting pretty tough to show up without one.
Yeah. So, in your perspective, with with the rise of the AI nowadays, uh, what's gonna happen with local SEO and AI? Do you see any uh, in search engine
That's an excellent
optimization world?
question.
In the SEO, we are so struggle with the AI rising, how the content
Oh
create,
yeah.
because it's so easy to create the content nowadays, and people are competing with spammy content. How it affect local SEO in your perspective?
Well, and then, not only just the spammy content, when you're using the AI to write content and it's being trained off of the crappy content that was written by AI, the content's just going to get worse and worse. But so far, we haven't seen as much of an effect. A lot of people are freaking out about the AI overviews that are showing up in search results, but Google doesn't really show AI overviews yet, at least for local businesses, because in most cases, the AI overview is a little bit more towards informational queries and not purchase intent queries, at least from our research. And so I think that from a local perspective, the AI machine learning stuff just isn't there yet to be able to provide good answers. So I don't think it's going to affect the layout of the search results page. I think we're still going to have the kind of layout we've all become used to over the years. But I do think you're right. The AI content side is going to be a struggle for a lot of businesses. I was talking to somebody last week that had kind of messaged me and asked for help, and they were talking about, oh yeah, I'm using AI to write all this content and I'm not ranking any better. And I said, well, do you have a human editor editing the content? And he says, oh yeah, I just kind of look through it. And I said, no, I don't think most of the general public understands that ChatGPT and Jasper and all of these other tools are just word prediction programs, and they're not really intelligently writing content. And you really need a human editor to both fact check and clean up the grammar and the weird phrasing that the AI systems use. But the general public doesn't get that. So they're just churning out all of this content and throwing it on their sites, and they're making their sites worse because really in today's world, the important thing to remember about doing SEO is that you're not really just shoving keywords in a couple of places like SEO was 10 to 15 years ago. It's more about having the content that has the best answers to the questions that potential customers would be asking. And sure, you can churn out a bunch of content with AI, but is it really writing quality answers to those pre-purchase questions? It's usually not. And so you think you're okay because you're adding all this content and it's super cheap or effectively free, but you're junking up your website and making your user experience worse, where you could almost not put that content on there and probably rank better in some situations because all your competition is putting all of this crappy AI content on their sites and making their sites worse. You'd be better off just doing nothing and just waiting the game out. But I think as the systems get better at writing and people get better at understanding how to use them, I don't think it's actually going to be a problem. I think it will be a benefit, because think about how many small businesses there are that are out there that don't have the budget to hire someone to handle their marketing for them. And so they have to do all of the stuff to the website themselves. They're using a Wix site or a WordPress site and they're doing everything themselves. And they read a blog post or maybe take a little short training class on SEO, but then they know I've got to add content, but I'm not a writer and I don't have time to write it. Well, now you've got this resource that potentially you don't have that big gap between the bigger businesses that have either a team that can do the marketing or that have the budget to hire an agency, and the smaller businesses that don't. So I think at some point in the near future, it's going to be something that kind of evens the playing field more than what it is right now, where it's just creating a bunch of crap.
Yeah, I agree with it. It's just starting for now. When I set up the conference for SEOCon, it's so hard to determine what is the future of SEO. Uh, I love doing the local SEO. I believe local SEO is one of the solution that most business needed. What do you think for
Oh,
the
yeah,
search?
and
Yeah,
I've thought that for years, and for a very long time, local SEO was like, you'd have these big, massive conferences with thousands of people and like 5 or 6 tracks and 3 days of conference sessions, and there'd be one session for 45 minutes about local SEO, even though a lot of businesses need it. And then when COVID hit, it kind of shifted consumer behavior because everyone was needing to shop nearby and support those local stores. And now there are a lot of search queries that pre-COVID you would try that search query and it would be all e-commerce results. And now you can try that same search query and it'll be a mix between e-commerce and local businesses. And more businesses are starting to understand, oh, hey, this local thing is what I actually should be doing instead of what I've been doing in the past. So it's really important. The vast majority of businesses actually need local SEO and not regular SEO. So I love that it's so much more prevalent at so many more conferences, and it's more expanded and getting more visibility because in most cases it's what the people attending the conference need to hear.
yeah, I agree. But what is the most common challenges that the business face when they're trying to rank on the local search? What is, in your experience, why it's so hard for them?
Google is the challenge. The challenge is Google. Google has made a lot of changes in the last, I mean, really, it's been about the last year that Google is trying to fight spam. There are so many businesses and so many lead generation companies that will set up fake Google business profiles and try to show up in search to get leads, but there's not an actual real business. And you'll have somebody that's like a plumber or an electrician, and they'll go set up 15 different profiles in all these different little towns in the area to try to show up in each of those cities, which you're not really allowed to do, but they were able to do it in the past. So Google is really cracking down on that, and for good reason, because consumers, you want to be able to trust that if a business is displayed in the map pack, it's a real business and you can call it and you can get that product or service. So it's good that Google's cracking down, but they've turned the dial so far to the right that now a lot of legitimate businesses are getting suspended for silly things. Like you go in and update your phone number because your phone number changes and Google will suspend you. And then you have to go re-verify your profile to be able to adjust any information or respond to reviews or do anything. And then, right now there's a huge backlog, so it could take weeks for them to get to you. And now you're kind of dead in the water for that time. So I think the biggest challenge is just right now, there are so many suspensions. And then, even worse, at the beginning of this year, Google rolled out the new suspension recovery process where you get suspended and you have to apply for reinstatement and re-verification. And in the past, there was kind of a messier kind of solution to this. They've kind of simplified that path to getting reinstated. But now, once you start that process at a certain point, once you've clicked through a couple of times, it actually starts a 16-minute timer. So you only have 1 hour to get all of the documentation together to prove that you are a legitimate business. Now, those of us that do SEO, we understand, okay, these are the things you're going to need. You're going to need a business license or a utility bill that has the name of the business. You're going to need photos. You're going to need a video. You're going to have all these things that you need. But someone that doesn't do this all the time, that's just a business owner, they're not going to understand that they need all of this documentation to prove that their listing is legitimate. And you only have an hour to get all of that together. So some people just are applying for reinstatement and not sending the documents in. And the other people, the timer runs out because they're taking too long to get everything together that they need to get together. And once the timer runs out, that was your chance. And so suspensions are a massive, massive problem right now. And it's not even a problem with how you do SEO. I have a podcast that I do twice a month, and our kind of running joke for the last 6 months is that if you sneeze on your keyboard, you'll get suspended. It's really sensitive lately. So I think that's by far the biggest challenge of just trying to stay in your lane and do everything the way you're supposed to do. Yet even still, you can get suspended, and then you have to jump through all of these hoops to get your profile back. And it's hurting a lot of legitimate businesses.
So what's your tips for those who have that kind of troubles? Because I know, like in Indonesia, recently we got a massive hits on Google My Business. So they automatically added phone numbers to be contacted. I think it's like for local lead generating, and then they scamming
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard. So what's your top tips for those who want to do the local SEO
So
besides using agency?
the
Oh.
yeah, the biggest thing is that if you have any sort of a problem, you always have to go talk to Google Business Profile support first. Understand though that you're probably not going to get help from support. The support team has to follow a specific script. So, for instance, if I was to talk to support, I could say, hey, look, I know you don't know who I am, but I've been doing local SEO for years, and I'm a product expert on the Google Business Profile Forum. Like, I know how all this stuff works. All the things that you're going to tell me to do, I've already done. So, A, B, C, and D, I've already done. This is definitely broken. Can you help me? And they'll respond back and say, well, sir, have you tried A? And I'll be like, yes, I've already tried A. Next, you're going to tell me to try B. I've already done that. Let's move on. And they'll say, well, sir, have you tried B? So it's very frustrating to talk to support because you know that there's a problem, but support has to follow that script. But the key is talk to support first. You're going to get a case ID number as soon as you talk to support. Some of the time, support's really going to be able to help, and then you'll be good. But in a lot of cases, support won't be able to help, or they'll ask you the wrong questions, or they'll just be confused about what's going on. But what's important is you've talked to support and you have a case ID number. Then the best way to actually get help is to go to the Google Business Profile Community Forum. Google set up a community forum for each of its products, but it's not staffed by Google employees. They're meant to be a community discussion location where you can ask a question and other community members will help you. But once a community member that knows about that product has answered questions consistently and well, they get invited to be in the product expert program, which means Google has endorsed that person's knowledge, and they'll just have a little badge so that you know if you get an answer from someone with a product expert badge that they know their stuff and they're telling you the right thing. So Once you have talked to support, you want to go to the Google Business Profile Community Forum, create a post, explain everything that's going on, the timeline of the problem, what the exact details of the problem are, share the name of your business, share your website, share a link to a search that would pull up your business profile. You want to provide an insane level of detail, more than you think that you would want to provide, and include that case number, because basically one of those product experts that's at gold level or above has the ability to escalate that thread past support and directly to the internal Google Business Profile team. And that's how you can typically get help really quickly. So most of the time that people come straight to the forum, those of us that are product experts are going to say, hey, have you spoken to support yet? That's why I say go talk to support first, because if you come in and create your post and say, I've already talked to support, they haven't helped me, here's the case ID number, and then we escalate that, you usually get help pretty quickly.
That's good tips. That's really awesome for those who have troubles for their Google business. So, but the at the end of the day, why we optimize our Google My Business is for the local search. Do you have any tips for those who want to optimizing on how to get found easily on the Google? Maybe some of them are asking, do we need backlinks?
Oh, yeah. So one thing that's important to understand is a lot of people think that when you're doing local SEO, that means you're just optimizing the Google Business Profile, and then you do regular stuff everywhere else. But it's actually a completely different algorithm across the board. So the Google Business Profile, super important. A well-optimized profile lets you show up in those map pack searches more often, but links still matter. So you do need to get links, and content actually matters. So the searches that you're eligible to show up for have a lot to do with the categories that you've chosen in your business profile, but also they have a lot to do with the content that's on your website. So again, it's the whole chat GPT problem. People aren't really creating good content for their website. So you really want to take a step back and think, what are the questions that my customers ask or that potential customers ask? And make sure you have the answers to those questions in the content on your site, and create that content so that it really truly answers those questions well. Because you wouldn't want to say like, hey, I've got an underwater basket weaving class, and just have one sentence that says Greg's underwater basket weaving class meets at these times. You got to explain what we do in the class, what the class is about, so someone that's interested in that underwater basket weaving class understands everything about it. And answering those questions and having awesome content on the site is step one. Then you want to get links to the site. That's step two. And then you want to have that Google Business Profile, and then customer reviews are actually a really important element as well. And I know that kind of happens on your business profile, but it's not just your Google reviews. It's reviews on every site that matters to whichever vertical you're in. You know, if it's a travel-based or a restaurant type of thing, then TripAdvisor is going to be huge for you. So you want to make sure that you've got awesome reviews, a great profile, good links pointed to the site, and awesome content. It's those four things. It's the basics. And everybody always looks to the next big important silver bullet, but don't look for shortcuts. Most people ignore the basics because they're trying to just do that one or two quick tip hacky shortcut thing that they heard about online, and they're ignoring all of the basics. And most of the time, if you just handle the basics, that's all it's going to take to succeed.
That's awesome. So review, rating, how you name the page is all matters for the businesses. That's good.
Very much so.
I'm taking notes now. So because I know that there's still a lot of gap that I still need to learn from you. Okay, so how in your looking ahead, how do you see the evolution of local SEO in impacting the digital marketing landscape as a whole? Like, will it be like the one of the most important, or it's gonna be less important on the business if they want to grab new audience, increase their foot traffic? Uh,
It depends on the type of business. If it's a business that does face-to-face business with customers, then yeah, local SEO is never going away. And I think it's only going to become more and more important in the future. The weird thing is there's a lot of businesses that didn't need local SEO in the past, that for some areas of their business, they need it now. So it's like I mentioned earlier, pre-COVID, uh, you might search patio furniture and it would just show you e-commerce. Now it shows you e-commerce and local results. So if you see that map pack showing up for some of your keywords, even though you don't do face-to-face business, now you have to learn local SEO. So I think the influence of the local algorithm is just going to continue to grow. And it's going to be even more important for businesses to really harness the power of local SEO, both on their website and through their business profile, to show up better in searches, because Google understands that for a lot of different types of business verticals out there, customers want to buy from a local solution. They don't want to buy online, even though they could. And so any of those situations where Google knows that search intent is most likely local, it's going to use that local algorithm. And it's just been growing in influence. I think that continues to grow. I do think we need to pay attention to the AI overview side of things, because potentially if it starts dripping into local search results, where you might still have a map pack down below, but the AI overview up top might list a few businesses. I don't think right now it's there yet, but in the future, if it gets to where it's better, and those businesses that are listed in the AI overview are different than the businesses listed in the map pack, I think that can be pretty disruptive. So we are all kind of paying attention to how that's going to play out. But I have a friend that has a digital marketing agency, and they just got a lead off of Chat GPT, not Search GPT, but someone was just in Chat GPT asking a question, and it spit out a list of answers, and they were at the top of the list. So they got that phone call. So I think, if anything, it's just going to be, we are going to have to pay attention to how this AI overview or interface, or even not within search and just Chat GPT, where this information is coming from, how it's getting pulled in, so that we can create the right patterns on our own websites to hopefully be pulled in and still be able to compete with other people in the area.
That's good one. That's good one. So, in the past 30 minutes, we've been learning a lot from you. It's so good.
I didn't realize it
I
was
know.
30 minutes already.
I know. It's fast. If when talking to you, it's so fast. Okay, but I noticed that
That's just because I talk a lot.
you're the professor at SEMrush, and you're active columnist
Yes.
on the search engine land. Uh, how this why you start teaching this kind of stuff? Like, you talk a lot of local SEO. You talk from conference to conference. Why you did that?
So it really started, gosh, I started writing for Search Engine Land probably 13 or 14 years ago. And it was mainly because I had been writing a lot of content on the blog for the agency where I worked, and I had started my weekly video series, and I had just kind of gotten noticed, and I had just started to speak at conferences. And so somebody reached out and said, "Hey, would you like to be a columnist?" And I said, "Sure." And at the time, it was a bit of a selfish motivation. I knew that if I was going to start writing on Search Engine Land, that would give me more visibility, which would make it easier for me to speak at conferences. And the agency where I worked at the time, we got a lot of leads whenever I spoke at conferences. So, hey, if I can speak at more conferences, then we get more business, and that's good for everybody. And so I started doing that, and then I started speaking at more conferences, and really it exploded probably 11 years ago, when I had, through PubCon, become friends with a guy from the UK, and that guy introduced me to Kelvin, who runs Brighton SEO. And Kelvin invited me to come speak at Brighton SEO for the first time, and everybody really loved what I did, and they loved my session, they loved my style, and I've been doing Brighton SEO twice a year for 10 and a half years now. And all of these other international conferences, a lot of the conferences in Europe go to Brighton SEO to kind of scout out speakers for their own events. So I started getting invited to more things. And then the more I got invited to other bigger international conferences, the more other conferences noticed me. And it just kind of was a domino effect. And I spoke at more and more and more and more and more events. And then also I became friends with other speakers. And, the first time I came to you, I think it was Eli that recommended you talk to me. And
Yeah.
Eli and I had been friends and spoken at conferences together all over the world. And I've recommended other people to go speak at other conferences. And it just became really at the beginning on the conference side, it was partially driven by, yeah, if I speak at more conferences, we get more business. But it was also driven by a lot of the speakers that I saw were like, okay, but some of them were not that great. And I knew that I was spending money to attend that event. And if I was kind of disappointed in some of the speakers, I heard other people kind of grumbling that, that last speaker was not so great or these speakers weren't great. And I was really excited for that session because that one session topic really matters to my day-to-day job, and they didn't get anything helpful. And so I thought, you know what? I could be that guy. I could be up on the stage helping the people, making the conference better. And I wanted to share that knowledge. I had a lot of people early on that shared knowledge with me and helped me kind of elevate my own personal game. And I wanted to give back and do the same thing. And so through the years, I've done that. I wanted to go to a conference. And part of the reason that I present so quickly is you never know what the specific problem someone has that they're looking for a solution for. Somebody's coming to that conference, guaranteed. Any conference you go to, there's going to be people that are there that have one really specific problem they're looking for a solution for, and they're going to go to a couple of sessions at that conference hoping that that session will give them that answer. So I always looked at it as, if I'm talking about local SEO and I'm the only guy talking about local SEO, let me go really fast and cram in as much as I can, because you never know, that one slide about one thing that most of the people in the room already knew maybe really helps that one person with their job. And then now, years later, I run into people at conferences and they say, you know what, I took this training class with you at Brighton SEO, or I saw you speak at this other conference, and it drastically changed the direction of our agency, and we were able to hire a bunch more people and make more money. And I bought a new house, or I put my kid through college, and it's clearly has affected their lives in a positive way. And it's just nice, like, we all get lost because we sit at a computer and do work for clients or do work for bosses. So when you can hear that you affected someone's life in a positive way outside of work, it's really cool.
That's good. And we are so excited to have you back to SEO Forum Bali. Uh, what you gonna discuss at the SEO Bali?
So I'm going to be talking about local SEO, and last time it was kind of a general overview. This time I'm going to get a little bit more specific. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the new reinstatement process. I'm going to talk about how to get help when you're having problems. I'm going to talk about some of the current issues that are going on. But I'm also going to share this little mini SEO audit that we've designed, that is basically, it's in a spreadsheet, and it's a really quick and easy audit to run for local SEO that at a tactical level very quickly uncovers if there are opportunities to come in and help. So whether you're a freelancer or working in an agency, it takes maybe 10 minutes to do this little audit, but it can help you to know if, hey, does this site need help or do they not need help? You run it really quickly and you can tell. And then two, whenever we started using this little audit on our demo calls with potential clients, it more than doubled our close rate. Because now, instead of just showing up to do a demo call with a potential client and saying, hey, we're great, come work with us, look at all the things we do, now we come in and we say, hey, we've looked at your site and here's a lot of problems that we found, and here's what we're going to do to fix those problems. So when they're shopping around and all of the other agencies are just going, come work with us, we're the best, and we say, hey, look, we'd really like to partner with you, here are the problems we found and the solutions that we're going to bring to the table, you look like you've spent all of this time and you are speaking to specifics about how you're going to help them instead of this 10,000 foot overview. And so I'm going to share that and explain how that works. I'm bringing some really cool stuff this time.
Oh, cannot wait! It's 3 months away. So, but I'm so excited. Yay!
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. So, what you can say to our viewers that still on the edge want to go to SEO Forum Bali, but they think, it's in Bali. Should I go? Should I not go? What you can tell to them?
A, go, 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 go. You don't even understand how amazing this conference is. And I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to Ryan right now. This conference is a whole different level than anything that you've been to before. The venue is amazing. The pool with the sand in it, and the food is great, and the conference is amazing. The speakers were incredible. I've seen the speaker list this time. It's even better. It's amazing. It's stacked with awesome speakers. And it's small and intimate, which is also really cool because a lot of times you go to these events and it's a lot of people and it's huge and you don't have the opportunity to talk to the speakers or to, really get to hang out with everybody. And this, it's so small and intimate. You really have unlimited access to all the speakers so that you can get to know them and ask specific questions for anything that might help you. Plus, it's freaking Bali, and Bali is amazing. And if you've never been to Bali, I've traveled all over the world, and by far it's the best place I've ever been by orders of magnitude. So you should come down for the food, come down for the views, come down for the culture, and come down to learn. It's going to be a killer conference.
Thank you very much. It's a whole pack. All right. So that is the last question that I have for you. So I cannot wait to see you back here in Bali with other speakers. We have Heather coming and we have Jess coming. So it's gonna be a full pack of events, knowledge, leisure, Bali.
Yep.
So if you want to know more, you can go to seocon.id, get more information about this event. So thank you, Greg, for this interview. I hope it's enlightening to just talking, and hope all the viewers are having one or two ideas that they can apply to their business, and can't wait for seeing you in Bali. Thank you.
I cannot wait to see you either. We got to have dinner again.
Definitely. We
Awesome.
also have a special VIP dinner if for those who want to join before the conference, so we can talk more at this time.
Is that the one that was on the little beach part last time?
This one is better because we are going into the real beach.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then that's enough of a reason right there to get a ticket. So if you're watching this and you don't have a ticket, the dinner was awesome last time, and if it's going to a real beach this time, it's going to be even better. You got to come.
Yeah, that's awesome one. Okay, thank you. I'll see you on the next Bali. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Greg. Once again, this episode is sponsored by SEOcon Forum. You can check the link below. If you haven't joined the SEOcon Forum, it's gonna be an awesome 2 days conference. We're gonna share a lot of SEO evolution, the 8-figure opportunity that you don't want to miss in 2025. So check it out. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of SEO 911.